Hey guys, my name is Dr. Anna Lyritz. I'm going to be your professor this semester. I wanted to take a little bit of time to say hello and have you guys get to know me. Your syllabus, of course, is posted on Blackboard, so if you have any questions or concerns about anything, it's there. I'm going to go over a little bit about what's on it, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions. This week we're going to cover just kind of the intro, first little chapter in your book, and then we'll cover it from there on out. So a little bit about me. I actually have spent almost my entire career working in politics. I went to the University of South Carolina. I was a journalism major and then left, went to DC, actually came back and went to law school, and then went back to DC, got 2 more degrees, a Master of Public Policy and a Master of Legal Masters in Government. And so too much education, and then spent too much time in DC, but it's been so much fun. Spent a lot of time working on Capitol Hill. I worked for a few different members of Congress, a senator, 2 different committees, Department of Interior, and a couple of different lobbying firms. I am still today here in Lexington, South Carolina, working for a lobbying firm in DC. So I am very up to date on what's going on in the world. I'm hoping that I can use my experiences in working in this world to kind of bridge the gap between the text and what actually happens. Our textbook is a little bit out of date, which is honestly, it's kind of impossible to have a textbook about politics that is not a little bit out of date. Only because it changes all the time. And so kind of my what I want to do is go over the semester what the textbook talks about and then talk to you guys about what actually is happening in real life, and how it applies to some of the concepts we're learning about in the text. So I'm hopeful that my almost extensive experience in this world will be helpful to you. I clerked for a judge after law school, have spent a lot of time, I've worked in all the branches of government, and I'm still working in that world, even though my husband and I moved to South Carolina. I'm from South Carolina originally. We moved back 2.5 years ago. And so we have got 3 little kids and 1 more on the way. Actually, we have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an almost 2-year-old. And then I am due with baby number 4 in March. So I am really hoping to have all of our lectures still uploaded and posted as well as possible, that I don't miss anything while I am in the hospital having a baby. But if for some reason something happens and I'm not responsive around that time, that might be why. But my goal is to keep everything running just as smoothly as possible. I have taught this online a few times now, and kind of my goal in doing it online is to post lectures. I like to post them like late Sunday night, early Monday morning, so that you have the rest of the week to watch your materials for that week. Some week we'll have 2 lectures, some weeks we'll have just 1 lecture, and then there's always supplemental material in the syllabus that you need to read, including the chapter that we're on that week. I want to have that posted so that you have all week to look at that. So hopefully I can get them recorded and posted so that you're able to stay on track, even if I am actually not physically in front of you at that moment because I'm having a baby. Anyway, so that said, I'm still attempting to be as responsive as ever, and hoping this is going to be a great semester. I know it will be. I am recording all of my lectures and posting them on Blackboard, but they're all hosted by YouTube. Just because that's the easiest way I've kind of found of doing this. I know sometimes YouTube is blocked at your school, so talk to your folks at your school about getting it unblocked for this specific class. I've taught this a lot of times. I've taught at your schools before, and we figured out how to do this, so it's not a problem. We can figure out how to make this work. If you are having a problem with it, let me know, and we'll figure out who to talk to get this problem fixed. But this has always been something that we've worked out in the past, so I have no doubt we'll be fine again this semester. We have, so your grade, also listed in the syllabus, we have something in my mouth. We have 4 quizzes, and those 4 quizzes each add up to be 20% of your grade. So 5, 5, 5, and 5 each. You will have, 3 quizzes, or 3 exams. 3, yes. that are 20% of your grade each, and then one final essay at the end of the semester that is 20% of your grade each. So that they each kind of stack on each other to see how well you're doing that semester or throughout the semester. But that's all listed in the syllabus. Of course, email me if you have any questions about that. One thing about email, please email me on my Gmail address. That's annalyrits@gmail.com. I'll be posting that over and over in your Blackboard. There's something else that like you can email me somehow on Blackboard. I'm not sure where that goes. So if you email me that way, I probably won't respond because I'm really not sure how to find it. So please use my Gmail address when emailing me. All right, let's dig in a little bit on kind of who gets what and how. Politics is about who gets what and how they get it. Hashtag activism. We are the 99%. This is something that really has attracted young Americans. The Black Lives Matter their movement met with Senator Bernie Sanders, who ran for president, and Hillary Clinton when she ran for president. Young people have been notoriously uninvolved with politics. They maybe think it's irrelevant to their lives, but they turned out in record numbers to elect Obama. The internet opened up a whole realm of new political action. The founders, they were not fans of mass movements or even political parties, but they knew engagement was necessary for a democracy to survive. In fact, George Washington warned against political parties in his farewell address. But what do you think about this just for a second? What do you want to be when you grow up? You guys are having to start thinking about that now, right? You have a lot of answers to that question, but what I really want to know is, do you want to own a home, have a family, make a difference, live a safe and contented life? This can't happen without things like the military, student loans, favorable mortgages, safe streets, affordable and reliable public transportation, family leave. All of these things are products of politics. But who gets what and how? Politics is about who gets what and how. This is a process of determining power and resources and are distributed in a society without recourse to violence. Power is the ability to get other people to do what you want. The beauty of a democracy is that we all get to fight for what we want. Of course, we can't all win, and some folks have more resources, giving them a leg up. But if we're paying attention and we learn the rules of how things work, we can use those rules to increase the chances of getting what we want. Lower taxes, more pollution control, more aggressive foreign policy. Our founders created this amazing playing field for letting us engage in this game. They crafted a system that can generate compromise and stability that realizes freedom and prosperity for its citizens, and it's pretty smart. It's because we can't always get our own way that politics exists, but there are a lot of theories about how to manage power. Who should have it? How should it be used? How should it be transferred? Violence is not a political tool, but it is for those who don't want to compromise or don't care about deal making. But politics is essential to sorting and living a civilized life. Rules can be thought of as the how and who gets what and how. If politics was defined as who gets what, how, and where, the where would be the institutions, where government power comes from. We have a democracy, but there could be an all-powerful parliament or monarch or committee of rulers. Power and information. The Kennedy election was famous for being the first nationally televised debate, and Kennedy looked glamorous while Nixon was this sweaty mess. Think about how we get our information now, always in our pocket, right? How can we control that narrative? It's no longer about tribal loyalties, religious faith, or conquest, God or the sword. Now our only filter is what we choose ourselves. We need to live outside our own informational bubble instead of reinforcing our preconceived notions. Challenge what we think we know. Power and information are much more complicated than it used to be. Politics and economics are how to pay for government or how a private sector resources should be used to pay for things. Political and economic dimensions. You could have something like a capitalist economy, an economic system where the market determines production, distribution, price decisions, and property, which is privately owned. Laissez-faire capitalism, let people do as they wish. This is an economic system where the market makes all decisions and the government plays no role. There are no real world examples of this though. Regulated capitalism. This is a market system where the government intervenes to protect the rights and make procedural guarantees. This is like the Great Britain in the US. The government provides highways, streetlights, libraries, museums, etc. Why is it getting dark on my phone? You guys still see me? Weird. What is happening? Anyway, sorry. I hope you can still see me. This is undertaken by money from taxpayers. Procedural guarantees are the government's assurance that the rules are going to work fairly and smoothly, and that we're going to treat everyone fairly with no promise of a particular outcome. A socialist economy is going to be an economic system where the state determines, what is happening here? Anyway, sorry, I'm looking strange. Anyway, the socialist economy is an economic system where the state determines production, distribution, and price decisions. Property is government owned, like Cuba and North Korea. This is loosely based on the ideas of Karl Marx, also called a communist system. They provide what's called a substantive guarantee. This is a government assurance of a particular outcome or result. Social democracy is a hybrid system that combines a capitalist economy and a government that supports equality. This is like Sweden and Norway. They're primarily capitalists and believe that most property can be held privately. They try to find a balance between substantive guarantees of fair outcomes and procedural guarantees of fair rules. I am not sure what's happening with this light. Anyway, many Western European countries elect social democrats to office to eliminate policies that bring about more equality, eliminate poverty, better housing, adequate health care for all. This is kind of where Bernie Sanders is on things. And then political systems and the concepts of citizenship, based on the ideas of who should have power and what the social order should be. How much public regulation should there be over individual behavior? The government has the power to impose social order. Individuals exercise personal power over their behavior, which ranges from authoritarian systems like China to non-authoritarian like the United States to anarchy. The textbook has a really good illustration of this. The authoritarian governments are systems where the state holds all the power over the social order. This is China, North Korea, Cuba, Saudi Arabia. The people have no choice but to submit to its will, and this can take the form of a dictatorship. One individual in power, a theocracy, a power vested in God, fascism, power in the state itself, or oligarchy, power in the ruling class. Totalitarian, I'm trying to see if I block the light, if that helps. Totalitarianism is a system where absolute power is exercised over every aspect of life. Authoritarian capitalism is the system where the state allows people economic freedom but maintains stringent social regulations to limit non-economic behavior. Anarchy is the absence of government and law, which is the most extreme form of non-authoritarianism. It sounds kind of romantic, but how would you even organize a revolution to get rid of a government if you had no rules? Then, of course, democracy is the government that vests the power in the people. The collective life calls for some restrictions on what individuals may do, right? We prohibit murder, theft, running a stoplight, etc., but we try to maximize the freedom of individuals. And then, of course, popular sovereignty is the concept that citizens are the ultimate source of political power, which is what is established in our Constitution. No government is legitimate unless the governed consent to it. The types of democracy is the will of the majority, but what is a majority? 50%, 2/3, 3/4? Decisions are harder when you have a lot of people who need to agree. An advanced industrial democracy is a system in which a democratic government allows citizens a considerable amount of personal freedom and maintains a free market, though still unregulated economy. A communist democracy is a utopian system in which all property is communally owned and all decisions are made democratically. Such a system has never existed. The role of the people. Individuals who are obliged to submit to governments are subjects. They have no government authority. They have no rights against the government authority. Citizens, that's what we are, are members of a political community with both rights and responsibilities. We have a lot of stories in America, American history, of people fighting to be included as a citizen based on income, race, ethnic group, lifestyle, gender. Just because a system is called a democracy is no guarantee that all or even most of its residents possess the status of citizen. Citizens can usually vote in periodic and free elections. They can run for office. They're subject to rules such as age or residence. They support candidates, organize political groups, attend meetings, march in protests, contact officials or press, or now on the internet. Citizens are obligated to obey the laws, pay taxes, serve in the military, sit on juries. But even in Athenian democracy itself was pretty selective. It was ruled by the people, but the people excluded women and slaves and youths and resident aliens. Only about 10% of the population was defined as a citizen, which is very similar to early American democracy. A small number of white men, right? Divine right of kings is the principle that earthly rulers receive their authority from God. The Enlightenment period, 1600, 1700, science and knowledge blew away the shadows of suspicion and superstition. And the foundation of government is reason, not faith in reason. So it led people to consent to being governed because they're better off that way. Social contract. This is the notion that society is based on an agreement between government and the governed, in which people agree to give up some rights in exchange for the protection of others. Native American nations, the Great Law of Peace, suggested federalism, separation of powers, checks and balances, and consensus building. And then American citizenship today, James Madison, who is a major author of our Constitution, did not want a system that was too democratic. However, because the British monarch had become corrupt beyond redemption, America was thought of as a land where virtue could triumph over greed. The Articles of Confederation remembered rights of citizenship but ignored the responsibilities that came with it. They canceled debts and worked to the advantage of poor farmers. Madison and Locke thought the government had a duty to protect property. Because of this, Madison ended up rejecting notions of pure democracy, where citizens would have direct power to control the government, but instead opted for a republic, which is a government where decisions are made through representatives of the people. He thought this would be safer than direct democracy, because the representatives would be older, wealthier, wiser, and could make cooler and more rational decisions. Today, there are two competing narratives about what citizenship mean in the United States. Individualistic citizenship, which is a view of citizenship focused on action to realize an individual citizen's interest. As Madison said, too much democracy is bad. Collective citizenship is the view of citizenship focused on the action to realize the common good. This puts faith in the citizen's ability to act virtuously for the common good. Like JFK said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. This often comes about during times of tragedy, like after 9/11. How do you engage? So we talked briefly at the beginning of the class about hashtag activism, which is a form of political engagement that occurs by individuals organizing around a particular issue online. It's a great way for ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things, to help determine and shape political narratives. If we were in person right now, I would have you guys get in groups. So we're not in person, so I'm going to have you guys just kind of write this down on your own, just for you to think about. You are going to be forming your own nation now, right? So you're going to have to make some decisions about founding your own government. What type of government? Are you going to have a parliament, a democracy, a monarch, a committee of rulers? What kind of economics are you going to have? Look at what we've discussed this class: capitalism, laissez-faire, regulated capitalism, a socialist economy, or a social democracy. What about what kind of political system? Will it be authoritarian, totalitarian, authoritarian capitalism, anarchy, or democracy? Think about that. You're having to create your own country. Would it look just like the United States? Would you do things differently? Isn't that crazy to think about, our founders having to make all these decisions and we're still running with it this far later? All right, guys, hang in there. I will chat with you guys soon, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.